Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. It means a lot that you guys keep clicking. If you guys keep clicking, I'll keep making. And today we have our hour plus long, depending on however long this goes. This could go an hour, this could go an hour and a half. We have no idea, but you guys do if you're watching this video. And if you are watching this video, thank you for continuously clicking on these videos. And today we are going to do our power rankings and predictions podcast. So we're going to go through all 16 players left and say who is playing the best game, who is setting themselves up the best. Not necessarily like who's going to get the farthest, or not necessarily who's our winner pick, but just who is playing the best games right now. And today I have two very special guests. I have Xander.
Hello.
And I have Underdog Survivor.
What is up?
And so we are going to go through all of these people. We're going to go from 16th being the person who we think is playing the worst game right now to first, the person who we think is playing the best game right now. We might disagree. We may agree on some stuff. I think we're going to agree on our number ones, but we'll just have to see. And so overall, before we get into these, all the power rankings, what was your guys' thoughts on the premiere as a total?
I'm going to go first.
Yeah. Personally, I loved it. It could be just biased because it's great to have Survivor back on our screens, but that was just so much fun. And I'm going to be sad that the future episodes aren't 2 hours long.
Agreed.
Yeah, basically the entire time, except for one part. I was smiling like the entire time. It was just so surreal to finally, have Survivor back on our screens. Felt like the day would never come, and it finally did. And it's amazing to actually finally be talking about something new for once.
Exactly. Because I feel like we've gotten so used to talking about like Survivor in a very retrospective way that it's so weird to talk about it in a prospective way. Talking about what is the Ua tribe gonna end up like? I think it's fun to be thinking of the future and not all this past stuff. Oh my god, like that move was so good. Not like this move is so good. All right. So let's just get right into it. So how it's gonna work is we are gonna start at 16. Which is our worst players, and go all the way up to number 1. So, who is our 16? Let's go in the order of me, Skylander, Underdog. So my 16th, my player that I feel like 1 is playing the worst game, and 2 is has the highest chance of getting voted out next, is Nasir. I think Nasir, it's not necessarily anything that he's necessarily doing wrong. I think he's just on the wrong tribe. Because the women on his tribe are staying strong, meaning it's Danny, Deshawn, or Nasir. Now, if you look at physically, it's between Deshawn or Nasir. But if you look at social bonds, it seems like the girls are siding with Deshawn and Danny over Nasir. I do think that whole cultural barrier is kind of getting in the way of him forming these really being at an advantage in these social situations for sure. And I feel like overall Nasir is just. It's not necessarily that he set himself up bad, or that he, he shot himself in the foot. But I just feel like Nasir right now, if I had to put my life on somebody going home next episode, if Luvu loses, it's totally Nasir. Now his saving grace is that Luvu is looking like the best tribe, just like how we thought they would be in challenges, and so we'll just have to see, I guess.
Okay, yeah, no, I agree with that when it comes to Luvu. At least I do think Nasir kind of put himself in a bad position. But Nasir is not my number 16. So you guys don't know what my number 16 is?
What is it?
All right, so I don't necessarily think he's playing the worst game, but my number 16 is Xander, actually, Xander Hastings, because I think Yasser probably has the highest chance of going to Tribal Council again. Because as we saw, even though Ua still went to Tribal Council, they were like worlds ahead of them when it came to the puzzle. And I think Xander and, to a certain extent, Voce also put themselves in a pretty bad position by voting out Abraham, because the females on Yasser, at least right now, we see are very tight, especially Evie and Lyanna. Tiffany's also pretty tight with them, and I think if they go to another tribal council, unless something crazy happens, I think it's probably going to be either Xander or Voce. And if it came down between those two, I think Xander goes over Voce, honestly, just because he went to the island, that island or whatever, with the prisoner's limo, the entire thing. So I think that automatically puts a target on his back, even though he said he's going to use it for the tribe. that still like does something. Now they did say his one saving grace is that when they did send him to the island, Evie did say that everyone just kind of trusted him. That's why they all send him. But at the end of the day, I think if Yasser goes to Tribal Council again, it's probably going to be David or Xander unless something radically changes.
Wow. I would argue, but I'm going to save that for when we get to Xander, which I'll give you a hint is not for a very long time. All right. Underdog, let's hear your last placer for this cast going into the second episode.
All right, so I don't know if any of you listening also listen to our preseason power rankings, but I have a record of what I put for that. And so for each player, I'm going to be putting them in a new spot. I'm also going to be saying how many spots they moved for my preseason. And there's some people that moved up to 10 spots, which just shows how wildly wrong I was at the beginning of the season. But at my number 16 spot, and with a net placement of -2 for my preseason, is Jeannie. Wow. I think her vote for a card at the UA Tribal Council just shows that she has absolutely she has no idea what's going on in terms of the strategy, which we kind of already thought, and B, her social game is just not helping her get into a situation where she can be in the majority. When it was a live tribal, she could have just got up, went and be part of the conversation, and said, yo, who should I vote for? She didn't even have enough sense to do that, and I think that really shows that she has no business making it anywhere close to the end of the game, let alone winning if she makes it there.
Thoughts, Skylander, on just how bad Jeannie really is.
Ginny isn't that much higher on my power rankings. I will say that. That Ricard vote really just showed that she doesn't know what's going on, and I have a feeling that Ricard's probably going to be a little pissed off when they get back to camp. He's probably going to be like, "Hey, who voted for me?" or whatever. And Jenny's the type of person that would probably say, "I like," will openly be like, "I voted for you." She doesn't seem like she knows what to do strategically. She barely said anything at Tribal Council. She didn't even once walk up to anyone and whisper anything. She really has no idea what's going on. The only reason why she's a bit higher is because I think there's one person from that tribe that I think would probably go over her, and I think that because she kind of doesn't know what's going on, people who maybe on two separate sides might want to get her vote. So that's it. But she has no idea what's going on in the game.
I agree, and that's why she's my 15 pick. And so you guys just talked about it. I think I agree with everything you just said. She's if I'm ranking based on overall ability as a player, she is the worst player, and I don't think any of us can argue against that. Really, it just you can talk about games, but you're talking about the worst player on this cast. I think we can all agree that it's Jeannie. Is there any objectors to that? Is there anybody who thinks that's exactly?
No, that's fair statement.
Yep. So that's my 15 pick. What's your 15th, Skylander?
This is the biggest drop off for me. All the way from first to 15th is Ricard.
Wow.
Is Ricard. Ricard, I think, is probably let me tell you, UA was really hard for me to power rank because that tribe is crazy. But I think because Sarah Ricard put himself in a bad position because Ricard really did want to keep Sarah. We saw that, and he kind of just had to put himself in the corner by voting Sarah off, showing that he'll flip on a dime. And I think Chantel's a smart enough player to realize that, probably get him out of here. And also the edit wasn't really doing him any favors either. Right now, I'm seeing Ricard at most probably a late pre-merge boot. But if UA does go to Tribal Council again, I could see Ricard getting voted off. I don't think he's very well insulated in that tribe. I do think there's people that could probably actively go against him, like JD. JD figured out that Ricard really wanted to get rid of him, and JD's on Chantel's side right now. So yeah, from first to 15th, Ricard's my 15th.
Wow. Yeah, I agree that as a person, Ricard probably drops to 16th for me. but as a player, I just can't fathom putting him below people like both the people who we'll be talking about in a second.
Oh yeah, no, Jenny's definitely a worse player, but when it comes to the game or whatever, I think I have to put Ricard there because I honestly do think that Jenny could stay over Ricard. I'm not even lying when I say that.
I just think that Ricard has dropped from first to like average. Like I don't think Ricard has dropped to being one of the worst position players on this cast. Like yes, his quote unquote number one is gone, but he's also still has a very close bond with Chantel, who has a very close bond with JD. But again, we'll just have to see. You know, what's going to end up happening. You know, we don't know, but again, we'll just continue to watch every single episode to figure it out. All right, we have Underdog with his 15th, right?
Yes, so my number 15, and with a drop of -10 for my preseason rankings, is Nasir, and this should come as no shock. I believe it was Spencer. You already talked about him as your number 16 pick, and I pretty much agree with all the things you said. He went and accused Danny and Deshawn of trying to find idols. After it wasn't any, it was himself saying, "Let's not talk strategy." It was his decision to say that, and then it was also his decision to start talking strategy, which completely backfired and put a target on his back because, as you guys said, like the three girls on that tribe appear really tight, and he was trying to get in with him. It clearly didn't work, and I just feel like he's really isolated. And in the preview, I believe Sydney said we're trying to learn as much as we can from him, so then we can boot him.
Really?
And which to me seems a little obvious for him to be the next boot. That's why I don't have him in dead last, but I would have a hard time believing that he'd make it to the merger unless Luvu won out or something.
I have a feeling that he would be the boot, but they'll probably win again with along with either Yase or Ua, and then the tribe who loses will go to tribal. And so like he'll get the edit of somebody like, you know, who's going home, and then Luvu will win, because I doubt that they're going to do a double boot again, meaning that it's only one tribe loses, and I doubt that Luvu's going to be that tribe that loses. They're just not getting a heavy enough edit for us to feel like they're going to get like that. You know, like they're ever going to really lose a challenge. I just don't see a scenario where like Luvu loses more than one a challenge. I think at max they lose one challenge,
and that's post swap too, right?
Exactly. Yep. Exactly.
And also, I feel like since we're talking about the edit, Nasir obviously has a great story. They didn't show that at all, and they had a bunch of flashbacks. They didn't include him. That's definitely worrying for his longevity in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. But however, I do think it's too blatant for him to go home next, since they said we're trying to get him out in the thing.
Yeah, that's my thinking.
That's probably going to be like something that happens before the challenge. Sydney's going to say, "No, Luvu wins," you know. So yeah, I don't think this year will be going home in the pre-swap, but I could definitely see it in the post-swap.
All right. Well, all right. So here at my number 14, I have a player that I think is in a decent spot. But I think if the minority on her tribe flips against her alliance, she will be the one that they target. And that's Heather. I think Heather is in a pretty good spot strategically. Again, as I said preseason, and as I still maintain, I don't think Heather has a shot to win, even after watching one episode, because her I'm going off of pure archetype, like the past of her archetype never ever wins. Tina is not her archetype, right? Tina is not like a team mom type of mom. Tina is a more aggressive player who didn't try and be nurturing or anything like that. I mean, obviously she inadvertently was nurturing, but she didn't play around, basically. Heather seems like someone who, you know, quote unquote plays around. Like she's more nurturing and stuff like that. So as far as chances of winning, obviously I don't think she has much. I think even Erica beats her in a final tribal, and that's saying something, because you guys know how I feel about Erica. Yeah. And so I think for me with Heather, it's a matter of, one, she can't win, and two, if the guys can flip maybe like an Erica over with them, and then have Nasir just be like in a different island, and then, you know, it'll be what, Heather and Sydney left. They're going to target Heather out of Erica, Sydney, or Heather, because she's in the alliance that they're targeting, and she's the oldest and weakest person, so she would be the one that they would target. I guess either her or Erica, but I just see them going for Heather first, especially because they were so big on, you know, keep the tribe strong. I think that if her alliance gets a flipped on it, and that's a hard if, she will be the one to go. So really for her, it's a matter of maintaining that 3 and not allowing Erica or Sydney to form bonds with Danny and Deshawn more specifically. Obviously, Nasir as well, but it seems like Nasir's going to be kind of like the decoy boot if they do flip. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you for the most part on that. It's just I have Heather way hard because she's just so well insulated, I think, within her tribe. But however, when it comes to winning chances, I agree with you. I feel like she's one of the players in the Premier that only got a confessional because they wanted to give every player a confessional. If they weren't doing that, she probably doesn't get a confessional. I don't even remember what her confessional was about. But yeah, I agree.
Yep.
All right. So my 14 is it
thoughts on Heather?
Yeah, Heather just seemed kind of bland to me. Like she was in the women's majority alliance, and that was it.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah,
agreed.
All right, so it's my 14, right? Yeah. All right, so I'm finally getting to her. Jenny, definitely worst player out there, at least right now from what we've seen. Only reason why she's above Ricard and Xander's because I think she's just a tad more well insulated within her tribe. It seems like everyone likes her. She's not like completely useless. She has like the social game, I think, or like probably inadvertently has a social game. I don't think she's actively trying to make people like her. I think that's just who she is. And I mean, to be fair, it is working for her. It does seem like her tribe generally likes her, but I mean, really everyone liked each other on that tribe, so it's not that important. But I don't think she has any shot to win. However, I don't necessarily see her going home next. I could see like Brad going home over Ginny. I could see Ricard going home over Ginny, but still at the end of the day, like I don't think she has any shot to win. But because I feel like she's just a tad bit, more protected than the other two people I just said, that's why she's 14 and not 16.
Agreed. I see that. All right, Underdog, who's your 14?
My number 14 pick is going to be Brad, mainly because he just like threw out Sarah and Chantel's name right in front of them. Like,
yeah,
you don't. I don't know what he was thinking,
that, bruh.
But like he just walked up on them, and it wasn't even deliberate. Like he kind of like stuttered, and it was like, well, I don't know, maybe, well, Sarah and Chantel cost us the puzzle. Oh, you guys are right here. Oh, I guess I shouldn't have said that. Like, it was completely not intentional for him to just slip up like that. And then during Tribal, he kind of just looked lost, and his name was being thrown out there as, like, the alternate to JD. Like, the original plan was JD or Sarah, and then when JD shifted it off of himself, he got on to Brad. But fortunately for Brad, he was able to then shift it onto Sarah. But he is definitely a target in the Ua tribe.
For me, the reason why Brad jumps up at least a spot or 2 or 3 or 4, depending on where I put him, it's because at least he voted right. Jeannie on her own island, and then obviously Sarah didn't vote right. At least he's there. I think Brad's problem is right. Like, he had JD and Jeannie going into Tribal, right? Like as like the other trio, right? And then obviously everything just went haywire. But the only reason that he was with JD was because JD was going to go home if JD didn't go with Brad. So he's missing the social game right now. Obviously he's physically there. He's strategically in the game. He's not like Jeannie. He's not like strategically just dumb and like unaware. He knows what's going on strategically, and he's a pretty good player. It's his social bonds that he needs to start. I feel like he should probably try and solidify Jeannie as his number one. Like, she is 100% in my pocket, and then try and like get Chantel and JD on his side to vote out Ricard. I feel like that's his best shot, because I don't think he's gonna flip a Ricard unless Ricard wants JD out. Then maybe he could flip Ricard. But I feel like with Brad, at least he has some sort of control in the game strategically. But I agree, his social play is not impressive by any means necessary for sure.
And also I forgot to mention this, but Brad dropped 6 spots from my preseason rank.
Got it.
I think Brad was like number 6 for me, so he definitely dropped
like
for me.
Yeah,
he definitely dropped for me, but I still have him decently higher. But I'll get to why when I get to him, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Is it my turn to do my 13?
Mm-hmm.
All right. My 13 is Tiffany. So she's the first person to come from this tribe, right? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because I had Nasir, and then I had Heather, and then I had Jeannie. or sorry, I had Nasir, Jeannie, and Heather in that order, and now I have Tiffany, the first person to come from Yase. Now you might be saying, "Oh my God, why isn't it Xander or David?" Because I think this tribe isn't that stupid. This tribe probably is catching on to the fact that they're talking about new era. They probably know that they're going to need to be strong because there's not going to be a tribe swap, or at least I personally would have the feeling in the game at least that they're good, going to be there for at least 4 vote outs, and that's already enough to get Matt singed. So I feel like for them, they know that it would be silly to vote out Xander or David. Now, I don't think that means that they're going to go blindside Evie or even Lyanna, but I think Tiffany would be the person where if we got a flip out of Evie, it definitely wouldn't be on Lyanna. It would probably be on Tiffany because she's an easy person for them all to agree on. She's not physically strong, and they all don't necessarily have the closest bond with Tiffany. I feel like it's the 2 pairs. Abraham kind of got sniped out, and so it's just the 2 pairs, and it's Tiffany with the girls, but it's kind of the girls and Tiffany, not necessarily the girls and David and Xander.
Yeah, no, agree. I think Tiffany's probably the fall option if one of the girls had to be voted out, just because Lyanna and Lyanna and Evie are just so close, it seems. I do agree. Like Evie's and Lyanna aren't stupid. They do know that most likely they're gonna need some physicality in their tribe. But I have David higher definitely than Xander, right? I think Xander is definitely the worst player between him and David. But I mean, I'm liking David Chance right now. I'll just say that. I have David way higher than I thought I ever would.
Well, we'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll have to see. All right, so is it?
Did Skylander give his number 13 pick?
Oh, sorry.
It's Nasir. He's the worst ranked Luvu. The only reason why he's 13 is because Luvu is not going to go to the tribal council. Yeah. But yeah, I really nothing else to say besides that.
Yeah. Underdog.
All right, then my number 13, and with 0 movement from the preseason power ranking, is Heather, who we have just talked about. She is just kind of there. She had really showed nothing in the first episode except for the fact that she was in the majority women's alliance, but I feel like if they were to flip on themselves, she would definitely be the first person to go. And I didn't see anything to really show me that she's other than the preseason opinions that I had on her. Like nothing has changed since preseason, so I have no reason to move her up or down.
Okay.
Agreed.
Yeah,
All right,
I agree.
so we're at 12, right?
Yes, we are at 12.
Okay. At 12 I got Brad. I've already given my take on why Brad is not last or not even close to last, but also not necessarily good. I think I've given my pretty thorough take, actually. So I'll hand the mic off to you at 12, Skylander.
My 12 is Tiffany. She definitely is probably the weakest member of Yasser. And like I said, I think they have a very good chance of going to tribal next. And I said before, the tribe isn't like Lyra, where it's full of just people who want to make big moves just to make a big move. I think they do have some brains, and they do realize that they're gonna need some physicality if they want to make it to merge. And if the girls do decide to flip, then like I said, I think Tiffany is the fall option that everyone can probably agree on. So I have her at 12. The only reason why she's higher is because I do think she still has some sort of unique connection with the girls on the tribe. So she's kind of protected there, but if they do decide to flip, Tiffany is going to be the person that gets voted out. So yeah.
All right. Yeah, I have Tiffany pretty close, so I'll be talking about her soon. But my number 12, and with a movement of -2 from the preseason, is going to be Sydney. She is also a member of what you would say the majority of the Luvu tribe. Again, we haven't really seen any like set in stone alliances just because they haven't been in tribal yet. And also, like, she came off very arrogant in the preseason, and then during the show, like, I'm pretty sure she only got one confessional, is talking about how she travels a lot and how, I travel with just the clothes on my back and my retainer and my credit card. Wish it was my dad's, but it's mine. So, like, continuing to sound arrogant.
Yeah.
And then she's talking about how like she can survive in the outdoors. She doesn't care. And then the B-roll they used for that was a clip of her like catching a crab and then it crawls away. Like, so they're clearly trying to show that she's not really as adept as surviving outdoors as she seems. So she's definitely getting set up, as a lot of people have said, for that Angelina type edit, which Angelina made it to the end. Does Sydney make it to the end? I don't know 100%.
But
if
Angelina
she makes
loses against literally anybody on that entire post. Probably the entire cast, including Natalie, honestly, seriously.
Yeah, including, I mean, seriously. I actually have Sydney way higher. And correction, I think she had 3 confessionals, or 3 or 2.
Oh,
she
really?
she had more than one. I know that for sure, because one of them was talking about how she actually got the confessional about how Nasir came up to them, and that was at least a good sign for me that she was the one that got the confessional about how Nasir was talking to them. To be fair, Erica got one too, but it was like way less meaningful.
Yeah.
So I think that means something, that she was the one that was like talking about how, oh, Nasir came up to us talking about Idol and this, that. And so, yeah, I mean, that is kind of weird that they did the B-roll of her where like she said, I'm good with outdoors, and then the crab gets away. But I actually have her way higher than I ever thought I would, but I'll get to her later on.
All right. So I got at number 11, I got Voce. For the simple reason that if the girls do sit together, they're probably going to vote out Voce over Xander. 1, because Xander's just obviously stronger. 2, because Xander's probably a less like strategically aggressive player from their perspective. And 3, because Xander has the advantage, and according to Xander, he's going to use it, quote unquote, for the tribe. And so as far as they know, they are hoping that Xander got the advantage and that he didn't lose his vote. I know after tribal, because 6 votes came in, they knew that he got the advantage probably, because he didn't lose his vote, and so they probably they're probably going to want to keep that around, quote unquote, for the tribe if there's a swap. Little do they know there's no swap, probably, but so I feel like if the girls do stick together, which I personally think if they go to tribal, they're probably going to flip on Tiffany personally. But if they do stick together, I think David goes out in the spot probably, unless David can form that relationship with Evie, where Evie can save David, which I see it starting to form, but I just don't know if it's going to get to the point where Evie's willing to put her quote unquote like head on the line for David. And so until then, I see David as a worse option than Xander. I have Xander much higher for reasons other than this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I guess we're just kind of like simply like disagreeing that I think that Xander goes home over David if they do decide to just kind of sticks. And the only reason why that is, like, to be fair, is because he went over to the island. I mean, that has to to at least like them out a bit, right?
But he told them exactly what he did, and they even tell us in a confessional, we are good with that. Like, I'm happy about like that. And then beforehand, they're saying, oh, like, we're not worried about Xander. He's not going to lie to us. Why in the world would you then vote out that person? That makes no sense.
I mean, it's just simply because he might have an extra vote out. I mean,
they know he does, and they're not threatened by that at all. Like they went to their first tribal, he wasn't even a target, and knowing that he had an extra vote.
Plus, on top of that, meat shield. Like on top of all the stuff we just said, meat shield. So it's just
that's the thing, though. He's a meat shield, which means he's probably not going to win.
Yeah, but the Yase tribe has performed the worst out of all the 3 tribes in the challenges so far. They finished last in the opening challenge. They finished last in the immunity challenge.
Yep.
And they look like the weakest tribe. So if I'm them, I'm definitely not getting rid of Xander, who looks like the strongest member of that tribe.
Yep.
True.
All right. We got your 11 pick, Sky.
Mine's Heather. Just just like she's the weakest person of Lubu. If Lubu somehow goes post swap, maybe pre swap, I could see her going over Nasir, honestly, just because that tribe probably cares about physicality more than any other tribe in that season. And if she gets to the end, she's not going to win. So just because she's on the Lubu tribe, she goes to 11. But if she wasn't on the Lubu tribe, she'd probably be like 16th or like 15th.
Yep, I get that. All right, 11 for Underdog.
Yeah, so my number 11 and a movement of +7. So out of last place into number 11 is Tiffany for me. So she seemed to be pretty well insulated within the 3 women of the Yase tribe who seem to be making the decision mostly at that first tribal council. But I feel like it is Evie and Lyanna at the top, and then Tiffany's third. So technically, and she could be in between two pairs because Xander and Voce, I think, formed a pretty strong bond during the sweat challenge. But I don't know if she recognizes that she's in the middle, and she might try to stick with the women, and that might be her downfall. And we already saw, like, she was the target of Abraham in the first tribal council. She's also probably going to be the person that if they have to get rid of someone because of challenge strength, it's probably going to be her.
Agreed?
Yeah, agreed.
All right. So we got, what, our 10th now? 10th?
Yeah, 10th.
All right. For 10th, I got Sydney. There's not much to say here. She seems pretty average at this point as far as like a player. And she's in a well-insulated place, so that's why she's not last. But she's not first because I don't think she has much of a shot at winning. Obviously, she's going to be the Angelina edit, and I don't think she has much shot at necessarily making it pretty far either. I'm not going to lie. So, yeah, it's not that really complicated of an answer. It's just more for me. It's more like process of elimination for me.
Yeah, I mean, like I said again, I have her way higher than that, and I'll get to that when I get to her. But yeah, I can see why I think that. The only thing is that she probably is the best positioned person on Luvu right now.
Probably.
So
but
there's
my
that.
issue is nowadays if you get to the merge, especially with no swap, and you're the big tribe that still has already, which let's be real, Luvu's probably going to be that tribe with like 5 people coming in, and the other 2 are going to have like 3 and 3 or something. They're gonna go form an alliance, Ua and Yase, or Ua and Yase, meaning Luvu's just going to get picked. Luvu is going to be Tandang if they don't either lose challenges or if they don't figure out a way to get that off of their backs. And that's my fear with Luvu post merge. Pre merge, Luvu is a great tried to bet on, and that's why I think I have Nasir and Heather, and then I take a huge gap, and then I have Sydney, and and what is my top 9? I have three of the Luvus, but like for pre merge right now. But later on, I don't see any of the Lus aside from, because we all think this year's going to go sooner or later. Deshawn, I don't know. We didn't really get much from him. All 3 of the girls have basically no shot at winning at this point, in my opinion, and that leaves Danny. And Danny's, he's like your stereotypical merge boot. So if you're looking at it from that perspective, nobody on Luvu really has a shot at winning. Like what I mean? Like just looking at it from that perspective. And so I think it's really easy to bet on Luvu pre-merge, not very easy to bet on Luvu post-merge, in my personal opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a bit too early to count like all Luvu out right now, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Also, can I just point out, why do we call it getting Tandanged when 3 of the original 6 Tandang members made it to the final 5? Why don't we call it getting healered? I feel like that would be a more.
I don't know. Honestly, just Tandang just sounds sexier. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. But getting healered would be a lot more accurate of description for I think what we're trying to say.
True. I mean, one healer went out.
The first 4 merge boots were healers on that season.
Yep. Yeah. It was really? So it was Jessica, Cole, Joe, and then it was
Desi.
No,
Desi.
Desi was first juror.
Desi, yeah.
Jessica, Desi, Cole, Joe. I think.
Was it?
And then Dr. Mike made it.
I think JP was voted out before Joe. Right?
No, JP was final 9.
No, yeah, he wasn't. JP wasn't final 9, and then after that, the season finally kicked it into gear once almost every single healer was gone after that.
Well, I'm going to the fan just to make sure.
Yeah. So.
Okay. No. Yeah. Yeah. You guys are right. Yeah.
Is it number 10 for Underdog or is it number 9?
Number 10 for me, I think, actually.
Oh, for you.
Yeah, number 10 for me is the Voce. I actually think he played way more level-headedly than I ever expected him to. He obviously got that pretty good, confessional about how he doesn't want to be the wuss, so he decided to do it, but he didn't want to do it. I thought that was pretty funny. Then he also got that confessional about him, talking about the vote out. I think he got 3 confessionals in total, which was pretty good, I guess, pretty solid. And like I said, he played way more level-headedly. I do think he kind of put himself in a bad position by voting out Abraham. He was probably going to be a solid vote that he could always use. So if the girls do decide to, stay together, he he's one of the two people that can get voted out. And like I really Xander and him, like I think I maybe should have put Xander maybe like 13th. I still think Xander has a higher chance of going home, but still David, if he acts like weirded out now, if once he knows he's in trouble and starts going Russell hands, he's definitely going home. And yeah, but overall I think his positioning's okay. I think the girls do seem to like him because he did the sweat challenge with it. Xander also did it, but I just because he played way more level-headedly than I ever expected him to, I kind of put him here because I do think he has a good head for the game.
I agree. Underdog.
My number 10, we're 10, yeah. My number 10 pick, and with a movement of +6 from the preseason, is also Voce.
Hey, there you
go. He played like the Savvy versus Sweat thing pretty brilliantly because he made very valid points. And I'm stealing this directly from Analytical Strategy. Shout out Analytical Strategy. But he broke it down, and basically David played this perfectly where he knew that Sweat was the right choice because he wouldn't separate him from the rest of the tribe, but he also knew that putting a target on his back by really pushing for one thing and advocating for it was not going to be smart. So he sucked it up and he did it, and he got it for the tribe, and it didn't really put a target on his back. And I predicted him to be like, as you said, like the Russell Hantz, like freaking out, trying to make a big move, preseason, like flame out Drew Christie really early. He's not doing that at all so far, but if the women on that tribe stick together, I definitely think they're going to send him home before they send Xander home because Xander, everyone thinks is really trustworthy. And he also has the advantage, which he's saying is for the tribe, which I think they're going to like if there's a swap, which, as you said, probably not going to happen. But if we're assuming that's how they're thinking, they're going to want to save that like extra vote for a potential swap situation. So David is probably who they get rid of. And if he goes crazy paranoia like he's probably going to do, if he realizes his neck is on the line, there is no way he's going to make it past travel.
I like what you said about David handling the sweat situation well with because I could totally see an alternate universe where David pushes for 5 minutes straight, being super aggressive, saying, no, I want the putt, and he's immediately now after Abraham goes, instead of us saying, well, maybe it's Tiffany because the girls might flip. No. If he had been an a-hole in that moment and just pushed for the puzzle, he would now be at the bottom of all of our rankings because he would be the easy boot at from him and Xander easily. And so I think he handled that situation kind of uncharacteristically in a good way.
Yeah, and also I want to point out, I think there's some people that even though they think they might be going home, won't use a shot in the dark. I think David is a player who 100% is going to use the shot in the dark if he feels like he's going to go home. Also, something I forgot to mention is that they showed footage of Tiffany being super close to the idol or whatever was there, and she didn't get it. I don't think that's good for her edit, and I feel like David is the type of player.
Russell Swan edit.
Yeah, I feel like David is the type of player if he thinks he has a shot at going home, he's gonna go scrambling for an idol, and I think he's smart enough to find it.
I think that out of everyone, he is the one that if I had to put my life on somebody finding an idol, it's probably him.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Now where are we at? 9 now?
Number 9.
Number 9. Okay, I got Ricard. So for me, Ricard does not drop to, I don't know, whatever you guys have. 16.
15. 15. Come on, Skylar.
Ricard, I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah, I think that's a bit much. I think Ricard's game now drops to the middle. Now, let's look at the negatives, right? Ricard loses his quote-unquote number 1 in Sarah. That's his biggest and really, for me, only negative, is that he does lose his, basically, person who is willing to trust him blindly. And he also on top of that, he beats her at the end, hypothetically, which is, really, really good for his game, but then bad that now she's gone. But positives, he forms the relationship with Chantel, whom he probably still has that with. He doesn't necessarily alienate JD or let JD know that he's specifically gunning for JD. He doesn't make it like this whole I hate you, JT. I'm against you, JT. Xander does with Russell and Heroes vs. Villains. He's very subtle about it, to the point where now if he needed to go work with JT, he could, because JT doesn't necessarily know that he was just hard gunning for him. I think he still has the pieces. I think if Brad and Jeannie feel on the bottom, he could pick them up and take out either Chantel or JD. And I think that's probably his best shot, honestly, at this point, as far as making it out of this tribe. But also, it's not his best shot because Jeannie and Brad would take each other before they took Ricard. But again, he has options, and that's what I like. He's not in a spot where like Nasir's only shot is to just try and convince the girls to take out Deshawn. You know what I mean? Or like who else? Like Tiffany's only shot is to try and convince the girls not to flip on her. Ricard has several options that I have said in the past 60 seconds now, something like that. So I feel like Ricard has options, and these players below him, like Sydney, Voce, Brad, Tiffany, Heather, Jeannie, Nasir, just don't have those same type of options.
I mean,
all right. So I'm just gonna go out of order here, guys, because I also have Ricard at number 9 here, guys. So let's talk about him here for a second, guys.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, guys, let's talk about him for a second, guys. Yeah.
Okay. So I think the reason that he dropped pretty low for me was because he had a target and he organized what he thought was a successful group to execute that target, which was JD, without JD knowing about it. And then it all just fell apart because JD just – well, actually, I think it was more like Chantel just didn't want to do it. And Chantel is obviously a powerful player, as we'll get to her later. But if one of the people in your group that someone you want to target is just not willing to go along with it, and the entire plan falls apart because of it, it just really shows that. Sorry, alarm going off here. That just really shows. that really shows that you don't have as much agency as you think you do. And he threw out Brad's name as an alternate to try to keep Sarah, and still was not able to get that going, and ultimately had to cave and vote for Sarah.
I think Ricard's the opposite of Brad. Ricard has the bonds, but he doesn't have the strategical power to do anything with those bonds. Like he has a bond with Chantel, which is really all you need. All you need on this tribe, honestly, to find success. And he's not necessarily enemies with JD, even though he just gunned for JD. And if he had to go with JD wouldn't really know how hard he really did in fact gun for JD. So it's Ricard's the opposite of Brad. Brad has no relationships, but he has more strategically powerful and stuff like that. Whereas Ricard has the relationships, but I don't know if Ricard has the strategical power right now to make decisions like that. And so that's why he ends up in the middle for me.
Well, let me tell you why I disagree with that, though. Can I tell you why I disagree with that? Okay, so I actually don't think Ricard has as many options as you guys say. I think that if JD gets curious and asks Chantel, hey, who's talking about name, I think she's going to say Ricard. And I think JD has such a stronger bond with Chantel than Ricard, like immensely stronger bond. And if she had to choose between the two, I think Chantel takes JD any day because he's very loyal to her, and Ricard is someone who will flip on a dime.
Jeannie and Brad go. I think Jeannie and Brad go with Ricard because JD.
Don't.
I that's just what I think.
That's where we just disagree, I guess, because I think they go with Chantel. Chantel was the one that was like, "Don't vote out Brad." JD was like, "That's a terrible idea." I was like, "Yeah, that's an awful idea." So they just shut Ricard down. They want to have Brad there, which means I think that Brad's on their side, and in turn Jenny's on their side, even though she really has no idea. She's kind of just like the swing vote. I can't really say that much about Jenny.
Do you think Brad? So where do you think that Ricard thinks he can find success? With which people?
I think Ricard thinks he can find success with Jenny. I think that's one, and I think Ricard has a false sense that he can find success with Chantel, which
I agree with that. I agree with that.
I just think that Ricard had, like, he was talking to, I think, Jenny, and like I forgot who he was talking to. I think it was Jenny. I'm not sure. And I think they have like somewhat of a good relationship. And I think Ricard thinks he's like one of Chantel's like number ones, which I just don't think that's true. I think JD's definitely. And I just think Ricard is not in a good position because both his ideas were shut down. He said JD, that got shut down. He said Brad, that got shut down. And ultimately, like you said, he had to cave and vote out Sarah, which he did not want to do.
I think that Ricard, in the end, right, your whole argument really relies on the fact that Chantel just decides, okay, I have to pick between JD or Ricard for who gets to stay. It's not the case. They could all just get together and vote out the two people, or at least Jeannie for sure, who is not helping the tribe in any way, physically, strategically, and socially, or Brad, someone who actively went after the three of them at some point or another, whether it was inadvertently or purposefully, like directly. And so I think your argument depends on if Chantel feels like she needs to pick a side, or and the sides being JD or Ricard, which in that case I do think that she goes with JD, or if she just keeps the majority alliance, in which they all kind of have a close bond. And then honestly, that's probably the best for JD and Chantel's game, because then hypothetically, if they get down to 3, JD and Chantel probably stick together and vote out Ricard. So I feel like I go ahead.
There's one thing I forgot to mention. I think that Ricard is gonna. This is just kind of what I got from him. I think he's gonna get super psyched that he got that one vote and be like super worried about that. And I think he's gonna kind of put a target on my back. I think he's probably gonna go asking, vote for me, vote for me, and stuff like that. And I think Ricard is someone, like, from what I got, can sync his own game. He definitely seemed like a type of person that was just they would just cave in on himself, and that's just kind of what I got from him. I mean, like, he literally had to vote off someone that he had a good connection with, and he didn't really do anything to fight with it. He didn't really say oh wait, no, this is why we should keep Sarah. I'm talking about a tribal council, and he just kind of let it happen. And I get it, if two people are saying, this is probably not the best thing, but it's not a good thing in general that his number one went home. And I honestly can see Ricard being an early vote off, and even I kind of see him being the 6th or 5th person voted out right now. As where Jenny, she definitely can be the next person voted out, but I could also potentially see her making to the merge just because she's not a good player, but she has social bonds.
Also, I think. Sorry. Also, I think edit-wise, we clearly saw a feud between Ricard and JD, and clearly JD got the hero edit of the two, and Ricard got the villain edit of the two. So that bodes well for JD, and it doesn't bode well for Ricard.
All right. Well, now we have that sorted out. What is your number 9, Skylander? Then we go on to the top.
It is Danny McRae, which I just didn't get a lot from him this episode. He he went with the safe thing, which I was kind of getting at, that he was just gonna protect his vote. He obviously did the sweat thing, which probably put him in good spot tribe wise, but also Nasir found him
looking
for an idol. And again, I think Nasir's in way more trouble than Danny, but just that in general. But just the thought of that in general, I think kind of puts him in a bad position. And I do think if let's say Nasir's not there, I think they probably it's hard for me to decide. I think Danny's probably in a lesser spot than Deshawn, because we saw Deshawn got the confession about how he was mad at Nasir for saying that he was looking for an idol. Danny didn't get that confessional. But he was there at the island, which I mean, I guess that's good for his game that he was able to say this story and everyone believed him about it. Just the thing is, though, the reason why he's at 9 and not a little bit higher where Deshawn is because I think Deshawn was the bigger character out of him and Danny, which I think says something.
Well, I'm not concerned with characters, 1. And 2, with Danny, the big thing for me is, 1, Danny's a better physical person, specimen than Deshawn is. I don't see a scenario where Danny gets voted out pre-merge. And 3rd, I think Danny has the most obvious boot on this entire season right now in the Seer on his tribe. So it's he kind of catches a break there where you can talk about the 3 goes, but there's no way Nasir does not get voted out the next time that Lulu goes to tribal.
Definitely.
Unless they flip on the girls, which in that case Heather gets voted out, so it's either Nasir or Heather. So I
can see being the merge bid too, which is why he's at 9th place, the middle basically.
Exactly. Yep.
So that's kind of why I have him at 9th. I mean, you probably don't have him much higher. I don't know how much higher you have him, but yeah.
Also, Danny Danny also employed the Gary Hogaboom or a Gary Hawkins tactic. Like they're asking him, "Oh, you play football?" It's like, "No, I stopped playing football in college. I'm actually a professional landscaper now."
Yeah, it is. I did it in college, the same exact college that this one guy named Danny McRae went to. It's like,
except no one would know Danny McRae unless you like religiously study the NFL.
No,
like every single player ever.
Like
you're a Cowboys fan, you still don't know who he is.
I'm a hardcore Cowboys fan, like who watches Hard Knocks and everything. I watch all like the documentaries that follow them. I couldn't even tell you who Danny McRae is. I couldn't have told you at any point in my entire life. I've never even heard the name.
Xander and JD did because they're like, hey, we're all thinking you're a football player. Like it was it's like a weird thing to say.
That's not why they I believe they had put it. You look like a football player. Did you play football? And then
okay. He does look like a football player though.
He does look just like a football player. Yeah.
Like that. That's like he's like the most football player looking person that's ever footballed. Honestly, like,
dreads, muscles, cut. Yeah, no, he's got that. Running back.
Gain a couple pounds before coming out on the island.
Yeah. All right. We got 8. Yeah.
Yep. 8.
Deshawn, for the exact same reason that I just talked about Danny not being super low, is because Deshawn is on a tribe with the person who is Nasir, and Nasir's the obvious boot. Now, the reason why Danny is much higher than Deshawn is because at least Deshawn does have that physical, issue. Mm-hmm. He's not as physically gifted as Danny is, and therefore he does have a chance of being a pre-merge boot, whereas Danny basically has none. But the good thing for Deshawn is if his tribe loses one challenge, which is probably the most likely scenario, you have the easiest boot on the entire season on your tribe. And that's why I feel like he's in a pretty good spot. Not necessarily the best spot, not necessarily like strategically a really good spot, but socially he has the bottom with Danny, and he has an easy boot in this year on his tribe for sure.
Yeah, I think Deshawn's in a pretty good place. I think like out of the 3 men, he's like the middle physically.
Yeah.
I think he's like probably just a bit more physical than Nasir. So there's that, and he just simply does not go home over Nasir. Yeah. So there's that. But like a swap could always mess things up. You never know what happens.
That's true. All right. We got who are you guys' 8s?
My 8 is I have no idea how he got up this high. Just kind of process of elimination. To be fair, like from I think 11 to 7, these are all pretty interchangeable. But 8, I have Brad, and like you said, I think he has everything except that social game. I think physically, he's set. He's probably the most physical person on the Uwa tribe, which they desperately what they desperately need. And I do think. He has that strategic, like unlike Jenny, he knew what was going on at that tribal council. And I think he's socially too. He just had that one like really bad move, and was telling Sarah and Sean face like, well, I'm like I might vote for you, but which is like really bad. That's really bad. But like if you look at like the secret scenes or whatever like that, like everyone like really seemed to like Brad. You just see he seems like a nice guy that everyone just really likes, and so like he has a social game. He just had that one major blunder, which kind of put him in that bad position, and which is why he did get that one vote with Sarah's vote, because he did say straight to her face, well, I'm thinking of voting you off. He has like I think he kind of has like an old school mind for the game. Definitely a person that's like we need to keep the physical people there, which I mean to a certain extent he's right, because this season relies more on that. But I think he's just more strategical probably than most people give him credit for, because again, like I think he did know that his name was up there, because when they said all our names got thrown around, he never like disagreed or anything. Like he knew like he was probably going to get Sarah's vote, so he's there in the game. He knows what's going on. I just think he has that like that lack of like awareness when it came to like saying someone's name to their face. Like what you really think that wasn't going to work out for you? Like good, like what?
Yeah, I feel like he has a bit of a learning curve to do on Survivor. A little bit. I mean, every new castaway is going to have to learn a little bit and adjust the game. I feel like he has a little bit more. I think he described himself as a Johnny come lately to Survivor in the preseason, whatever that means. But like he hasn't watched a lot of the show, and like his favorite player is Ozzy, which not.
It seems like he watched like
strategy.
21 through like 20 or like 23, I think, and then he probably watched like maybe like one of those for Gen X. I think.
Yeah.
Either
So
that or he has a very old school mind for the game.
I think
No,
he's.
yeah.
I think he's capable of picking up the strategy. But
Yeah,
it's going to take him
me
a bit.
too.
It's just whether or not he can survive long enough to do so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
All right.
All right, so what's your number 8?
My number 8 is dropping one spot from the preseason. That's going to be Xander. And I don't know how you had him in last place. I think Skylander had him in last place. I don't know what that is. Xander is listed as the most trustworthy guy on that tribe. He's the most muscular guy on that tribe, so they're not going to vote him out because they need to win challenges. And he has the extra vote advantage, which they seemed to increase his trust because he's going to use it for the tribe as opposed to for himself. And if they were to choose a man to go home, they'd probably not choose him. The only reason that he dropped a spot is because he's not in the majority alliance, but I could easily see him getting his way in there.
Everything you just said is true.
This is my criteria. It was like winning chances, right? And I honestly think that Xander has no chance of winning. I just don't see it happening. And also, I mean, if their tribe goes to tribal council, it's either I really don't see the girls flipping. I think they're pretty tight, honestly. And it's either going to be Xander or David, which I mean, I could see David going home over him, but it's pretty interchangeable, at least in my opinion, between them. Obviously, like they said they trusted him, but also in that, like in the next time on Survivor or whatever, like the women were like overreacting about something, then Xander gets a confessional right after, which I don't think that's a good thing, honestly. And I think the girls are pretty tight. Obviously, they could always flip on Tiffany, but I think Yas is probably going to go to tribal council twice in a row. I think they're going to go to the tribal council in the next episode and probably next episode after that. And I just don't know if Xander makes it past that. And if he does make it to merge, I just don't see him winning at all, honestly, when it comes to that part.
I can give him the you talking about winning. I think he beats a genuinely good amount of people on this
But does he get to the final 3 though?
Again, the thing is that there's a lot of people who can't get to the final 3, but he seems like he's not. So he came in, he wants to be Joey Amazing. I think he might actually accidentally play an actual good game. That's not just I'm gonna win out to the end of the game. I feel like he has social backing. He's building these social bonds. He's building he obviously has like that strategical mind. I mean, as we saw with Twist, and I'll get more into it when he comes up on my list again much later.
Mm-hmm. All right. So is that all for what number?
8.
Okay. Let's go for 7, right?
Yeah, 7.
I'm just gonna say one word, and I'm gonna move on to the next one. Erica. She's a process.
You are way too low on Erica, honestly. She's underrated, bro. Like
process of elimination. She has no chance at winning. I really don't think anyone respects her.
First episode.
I will say.
What do you mean no one respects her?
I will say. Out of everyone on her tribe, she's the last woman to get flipped on, probably.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say she's in the best spot on her tribe. I think that goes to first and foremost Danny, because he's just never going to go home on that tribe ever. And then second, probably Sydney, and I think she takes third. And like she's average, maybe slightly above average on her tribe, so she's average, slightly above average on my list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, bro. Like I don't know about that. Like I have Erica a little bit higher. Anyway, number 7 for me is Deshawn.
Gotcha. Agreed.
I think he's just in a slightly better position area than Danny. And when I a part of my power rankings come down to the edit, and I just think because Deshawn got the confessional about being pissed off that Nasir threw his name out there instead of Danny, I just think. Since we get to see more of him, that means the editors want us to see more of him, which I think means something. And also, I don't see Deshawn being that generic merge boot like Danny is, where I think Danny could be that, your generic merge boot. He's too physical, but he could lose. But he loses the first immunity challenge. He goes home. And I also just think Deshawn's probably more strategical when it comes to the game.
Agreed.
Obviously, he has that blunder. We're looking for an immunity idol. But to his like, I'm going to take a shot on this. Like, he probably thought that no one was going to come go look for him because like in the thing it said you can't talk to anyone, so I think he kind of thought he was safe, and this year just happened to be looking for firewood, and like, yeah, okay, and he got caught. But I think Deshawn's in a pretty well insulated area, and again he's on Luvu, so
I can't argue with those points. Actually, I agree with most of not all of that. What's your number 7 there?
My number 7 is going to be moving down one spot from my preseason rankings, and that is JD. And I am tempted to have him higher. I'm trying to check my bias here a little bit because JD has quickly become my favorite player on the season, and he's getting a massive heroes edit. But he did make quite a few mistakes in that first episode.
For sure,
he's a risky player, and we know that. But I'm worried about his ability to manage his threat level. He already has a target on his back. Ricard is gunning for him. And it was only due to his ability to play his way out of that tribal, which big shout out to him for doing that because he was going home going into that tribal. So we know 100%. He has the ability to make things change when he's in a bad spot. But we also know he has the ability to make mistakes. And he also is not a very good liar either. So
yeah.
I'm rooting for him. He's who I personally want to win, but I don't know that he can.
Everything you just said, I agree with. He's my actually since we're next going to 5, he is my 5.
6, I think.
So
we're going to 6 next.
Oh yeah. He is my 6, and what's it called? Yeah, no, you just made my.
Well, JD's my 6 as well.
Okay.
I mean, I agree with basically everything you said. I think he got a really strong premiere character-wise, which means I think he's probably safe for at least the next tribal council. You never know, but they really were propping him up as this hero. You have to like because he's awesome and stuff like that. And I think his ability to get to not get voted out in such a short amount of time at tribal councils, very good on his part. But also, bad thing is that he was going home. If not, he made that move, which is bad. I just think he needs to just get, like you said, there's a learning curve in Survivor. I think he has to probably learn how to, not stumble over his words as much when he's trying to say a lie or something like that. And I think he has to maybe tone it down with the likableness because likability is what did Christian say in the first tribal council? Likability is a liability in Survivor. Yeah. So there's that, but they are propping him up as his hero, which I do think is a good thing for him longevity.
There you go.
So my number 6.
Now we're at Underdogs in number 6, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my number 6, dropping 2 spots from the preseason, is going to be Danny because he's not part of the majority alliance, but he is strong and he's probably not going home pre-merge. But he doesn't really seem to have a solid alliance, and he was caught looking for an idol. I mean, there's not much to talk about. He didn't get a super heavy premiere. It's just he seems to be one of those guys that's oh, okay, let's keep the tribe strong. And on the tribe that you have and the type of person that he is, that's the strategy that's going to work for him in the pre-merge. It's just really when he hits the post-merge, is he going to be well positioned enough to avoid that early target?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the bad thing about Danny, I think, edit-wise, is that it felt like he only got confessionals when they needed to give him a confessional. Sure. They had to give him a confessional when he went to that island. I mean, you just had to. And I think he only got one other confessional about the water well, and then a good thing is that he did get a confessional in that little 2-minute clip, whatever. So that's good. But I agree with what you're saying. He's definitely not going to go home if Luvu somehow goes to tribal council pre-swap. But he also isn't in that majority alliance. But he's not going to get voted out because he's physical and he's not this year.
Exactly. Yep. I agree. My we're on 5s now.
Yeah.
Yes.
My 5 is Lyanna. Actually, I think Lyanna. I am worried. Not for this next vote, because I think for this next vote, it's either going to be a guy going, or the one that I think is more likely is probably them all just saying, let's just go for Tiffany. And if they all go for Tiffany, after that, I'm very, very concerned for Lyanna. Because I feel
definitely.
I am more confident in David and Xander finding an idol than I am an Evie and Lyanna. And even if they don't, look who has the extra vote. Xander does. So, at that point, if they can get down to David and Xander versus Lyanna and Evie, I think David and Xander steamroll them, leaving them to probably vote out Lyanna because David has a closer bond with Evie. And so that's my take on Lyanna being lower than Evie. Not by much, but by a good amount. Because I do think Evie has a much more easier path to the merge, whereas Lyanna does have a more tough path to the merge.
Yeah, I agree with all that. Now, I will say something about Xander that is nice, actually. If Xander has to use that, even though he really wants to use it for the either merge or post swap, if he is in trouble, he's definitely going to use that. I mean, like he's definitely going to use it. And the only thing is, like, if Evie and Lyanna like make it really clear that the men are on the outs, and they know that Xander has that extra vote, that could be bad for Xander. But he does have the extra vote, which means it's going to be a tie or whatever. So there's that. But yeah, I basically what you say about Lyanna. I just have her a bit higher.
Nice. All right.
So
what's your 5?
My 5 is and I just realized that when I typed her name in my thing, I put Seagull Sydney. I don't know why Sydney Seagull's is my number 5. She's definitely like the dominating force in that females alliance on Luvu. She did get the most confessionals, I'm pretty sure, out of every Luvu player, if not tied. I think she had 3. And I just think edit wise, like I said, I think it's telling that she's the person that got the confessional about how Nasir's being crazy and stuff, and go and tell people about how people are looking for idols and stuff like that. She got the opening confessional on the Luvu tribe about how they can't freaking know how to like open an anchor or whatever. That was pretty funny. And I mean, obviously, we're just not going to see as much as Luvu because they are going to win out. So we're not going to see much from them. But I think the person we saw the most from was Sydney. She seems to be, like I said, the head of that alliance. Which if they're at the merge and she's head of that alliance, that's not good for her. But still, we're still pretty early in the game. We're just going to have to see what happens. I do think there's probably going to be a swap when there's been 4 people voted out. And we're just going to have to see how that works out for her. But I think she's in a pretty good position right now, and I'd be pretty surprised if she goes home. Really, only way I see her go home is if Nasir gets an idol, which, I mean, is possible.
Agreed. Underdog for your 5.
My number 5, +7 from the preseason. So one of my biggest risers. It's Lyanna, and Spencer, you covered it. It's pretty much everything you just said. The only thing she's not higher is because I feel like her and Evie are a pair, and Evie is playing a little bit better and a little more prominently in the edit than she is. That's the only reason I don't have her higher.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, for my number 4, I got Danny. I made this argument now several times, but Danny's not going out pre-merge. Danny has a possibility of using meat shields at the post-merge to possibly get farther. And Danny has the social capital at this point. Like, he's not like just socially fucked. Like, and then on top of that, he has the easiest boot, in recent memory in this year on his tribe. Like, the person we all agree with is the most obvious boot if a tribe loses is probably the seer. Because with Ua, obviously it's just chaotic, and then with Yase, we're wondering, is it going to be Tiffany or are the men going to go out? It leaves a really easy boot for Nasir on Luvu, and so he has that. He also has the fact that he's not going to get voted out pre-merge, and he has room to wiggle post-merge if he can find it. And so that's why I have Danny F4. And
he's on Luvu as well, which means he's not going to go to a tribal at least pre-swap, which is always a good thing. I basically agree with everything you say. The only reason why I have him at like 9 and not 5 is because I just didn't get much from him. But I definitely agree with what you're saying. All right, so are we at 4 now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. My 4 is Erica, baby. Like, look, I think she's pretty well insulated within her tribe. I think she got 2 confessionals. She might got 1. I'm not sure, but she's not going to go home. She's probably like the person I think is like the most safe on Luvu, because there's the female alliance, and if they decide to vote out a male, they're going to vote on Nasir, obviously. And if the male somehow get their shit together and decide to vote out a female, they're not going to vote out Erica, right? So I just think she's probably in the best position in our tribe. She seems like a likable person. I think she has a social game, and we're just going to have to see if she's there strategically and stuff like that.
Yeah. Agreed.
You guys, Sky, you just stole my pick. My number 4 is also Erica.
There you go.
In my opinion, I have her higher than Sydney. I feel like she is definitely has more control over that majority than Sydney, but we really haven't seen too much, so I could be reading into it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like in the preseason she showed more game ability to me, so that's why I kind of assumed that. So that's why I have her higher.
Yeah, the only reason why Sydney is just like one place lower than Erica is because if they're gonna go for a female, they're gonna want to cut off the head of the snake probably, and they're gonna get rid of Sydney probably over Erica.
I would think they go for Heather honestly because of and
that's why Heather's like 11th for me, not 5th.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there you go.
Also, Erica went +5 for me from the preseason, so pretty good for her.
Oh, nice.
There you go. Okay, for this next one, we're at what, 3 now?
Yep.
Top 3.
All right, so 3, I got Xander. Xander for me is someone who I think if what I'm thinking is right, and the guys can convince the girls to vote out Tiffany, and everyone just comes together to vote out Tiffany. I think from there we've already discussed Lyanna probably goes out there, and then they probably swap at that point. Yeah. Leaving Xander in a good spot with David as like a quote unquote number 1, and their tribe. It also isn't like a Tandang situation or I guess a healer situation as we should call it, where they had some gigantic
healer.
Yeah, it's instead it's just him and David. Or if they vote out David, which I think they would vote out David over Xander because of all the trustworthy, big, he's a big guy, strong muscles, meat shield, all that stuff. And so if they vote out David instead of flipping on Tiffany, I think from there they then flip on Tiffany if they go again. There's no way that that they vote out David, go back to tribal and vote out Xander. You just go right back to the same stupidity. I just don't see them doing that to themselves. And so for those reasons, I feel like Xander is positioned well, even though he's not even in a majority alliance. I'm looking down, so I got so who I have left on my list in no specific order is Evie and Chantel, and then who I have like under Xander is like Danny, Lyanna, JD, Erica, Deshawn, Ricard, Sydney. I would say the next person on the list who's in a minority alliance is like Deshawn, and he's at 8. So Xander's the only one for me, like towards the top half of my list really, that is in that minority alliance. But because I'm just so confident, like in his longevity as a player, and also the fact that he can beat people at the end, and he does have a bit of a story, and he's not just like a face. He's an actual like pretty good player and a pretty good person. I have to spot him at number 3.
Yeah, well, you see, what we forgot to mention is that actually Evie's trying to do an intentional Matt scene since she hates all men. She's actually going to vote out Abraham, Xander, and David all back to back. See, that's obviously what's happening, right?
Obviously.
Yeah. All right. So my number 3 is Lyanna, basically like what you said, pretty well insulated. Obviously, Evie's higher than her, which, God, how did that happen? Evie's higher than her. And because Evie got probably the most confessionals out of the Yasser people, so there's always that. But Lyanna is her number 1. I don't really see at least Evie flipping on Lyanna. I could see like Tiffany, but I just don't think that's going to happen, at least this episode. I think Lyanna might be a bit like she should be a bit worried if there's a swap. I think she could definitely go out there, but at least pre-swap, she's very well insulated right now, which is why she's my 3rd placer.
All right, so my 3rd place is going to be -2 from preseason. Ooh. So this means this was my winner pick going into the season. This is #DeviousDrad. Hashtag get it trending on Twitter. Because he was caught looking for an idol. and then was able to rebound and turn that around on Nasir. And now the target's on Nasir, and he's more than likely going to go home. That shows that he's in a great social position in his tribe, even though he's not technically within the majority. And then other than that, it's just like in the preseason, I was super high on him. I have no reason to think that he should be any differently placed. Now his tribe looks like it's going to be physically dominant. So even if they do go to a couple of tribals, he shouldn't get into the firing line because he'll have the protection of the immunity idol. So that's why I have it at number 3. And it's going to be interesting now because we all have in our top 2 Chantel and Evie. So it's going to be interesting. Do we all have the same number 1 and number 2, or do we have them in different spots?
Do you all want to say real quick who's at number 2?
So hold on. Here's how we should do it. We should go from person to person, and instead of just like talking about a round of number 2s and then a round of number 1s, we should each say our 2. Well, obviously we all know it's Evie and Chantel, and then say who we have higher and argue why. I'll say mine first, and if you both have the same one, or like whoever has the same one, you can say it, and then I'll give my spiel, and then you can give your spiel, and whoever disagrees can give their spiel. But
if we do disagree, yeah,
and then
so say it.
All right. So I got at number 1, I have Chantel. Does anybody disagree with that?
Chantel number 1.
Chantel unanimous number 1.
I mean,
number 1. I cannot believe. I feel like this is never going to happen again. There's no way.
Yeah, when the Survivor editors make a theme song for you within the game,
that's how you know.
Winner edit all day. Yeah. I coming into the season, I was the highest on Chantel out of all the women. I remember saying it by a country mile. She's the only woman that I would have the respect for to vote for to win, and I'm still very, very high on that assumption. Other than Evie right now, I feel like she is the only like female that I'm very, very high on right now. I think Lyanna has her problems with getting flipped on if they can't maintain this stronghold with the women. I'm looking at my list. I think who's next? Who's the next female down? It's Sydney. Sydney, obviously, we talked about. Angelina edit, not so good. I'm going down. We got Tiffany. Come on now. We have Heather. Come on now. Jeannie, come on now. So it really for me, it's Chantel and Evie. And for me, the main difference is I had a second where I thought Evie might be, maybe Evie won't have complete control. Maybe Evie may go home. No, with Chantel, there was never a second in the entire episode where I ever thought it could ever be Chantel, and I would have passed away if Chantel had figured it out. So, yeah, for me, it was as simple as they both controlled their tribes, and I really didn't feel like either of them were going to go home, but Chantel had more control over her tribe and probably had less of a shot to go home.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I also just point out, I was like super high in the males and not at all the females. Yeah. And my top 5 is all females. And
the group top 4 is all females too.
I know, and that's crazy.
The group top 4 preseason was all males.
I mean, that's crazy. I mean, but Chantel got an extremely, extremely strong premiere. She's definitely running, everything on. Uwa, she's the only person that had absolutely no chance of ever going home, no matter what. Like they said, everyone's name was thrown out. Chantel's name wasn't thrown out, except when Brad said Chantel. That was I think the only time that her name got thrown out, ever once. She played that tribal council super good, making Sarah feel comfortable and not having to play the shot in the dark. She's like, "Oh, I feel scared too," which I mean, I don't think she felt scared of going home. I think she knew what was going on. She got JD to do what she wanted because he was like, "Whatever you want, I'll do," and he didn't. He let her decide, and I think Sarah was the right option. I think it would be a horrible decision to vote out Brad. So yeah. And I guess the only reason why Evie isn't number 1 is just because I feel like just Chantel just got more a very much stronger edit character wise and just seemed like the more fun person, and as well as I think Uwa is just probably if I had to bet my money, I think Yas is probably gonna go to tribal over Uwa. And so, like, if one tribe's going to get decimated, it's going to be Yasser, which is bad for Evie. But besides that, Evie still played pretty good game, got all the women to vote with her. And then somehow, like, again, I think it was extremely bad for David and Xander to vote out Abraham, but she got them to do it, which was a unanimous vote. That's good for her. And I just don't – if they're going to flip, they're going to flip on Tiffany. Evie's not going to go home. So just that.
Yep.
All right. So, I mean – yeah, it was just a masterclass of survivability by Chantel in this opening episode. She was making social bonds with everyone. She clearly was not getting on anybody's nerves because she was avoiding the target. And like her and Sarah equally screwed up on the puzzle, and Sarah took the brunt of the blame of it. And the only like you guys said, the only time she ever got thrown out there was when Brad threw her name out in front of her, and just no one bought that at all. But for some reason, everybody, well, not for some reason, because she was so well socially integrated into her tribe, everybody put it on Sarah as opposed to her because of her social ability. Strategically, she was able to be part of Ricard's group that was targeting JD, JD's group that was targeting Sarah, and she got to make the decision during the tribal. She was the one that both people were coming to with ideas. She ultimately was the reason Sarah went home. And like you said, she has her own villain music. That's just crazy. Like, there's no way she's not going super far in this game. She was my winner pick during the fantasy draft, and then during the power ranking, she ended up being my number 2, so she moved up 1 spot. But Evie moving up 9 spots on my power rankings. I just want to make a public apology to Evie.
Yeah, me too.
We absolutely raked her through the dirt in the preseason. I mean, if you still hate men, Evie, then
but you know what? It's her fault.
I still don't fully forgive you for hating men, but I kind of feel like she was playing it up preseason just for the attention. She's playing the game masterfully, and she's not offended by the word guys. So, like,
So
when she raised her hand, I thought she was going to say something like, "Well, actually, yes, guys is offensive."
As a person, it was
And then she said, "Guys is actually not offensive." I was like, "Oh wait, hold on,
like
plot twist."
Yeah, I'm super.
Is this Evie? Is this the Evie I saw in the preseason? Say her heroes
completely different person. It's a doppelganger, but I know, right? So, mad props to her, and she is looking very strong in the game so far.
I don't necessarily think I owe her an apology as much as I think she owes herself an apology for making herself look like a terrible person. But obviously we saw that she's not acting like it, which I can respect her. You know, even if I necessarily disagree with her opinions on hating an entire gender, at least she didn't act like it within the game, which I have,
She definitely appreciated the guys when they did the stuff, like, exactly. So there's that.
Yeah. Like I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I had her under a magnifying glass going in, like, okay, like is she gonna say anything negative about David or Xander? And she really didn't. She was really nice. Only time she ever said anything negative was when she was talking tragedy, and that's it. So sure.
And she's not offended by guys. Like, basically, take what I thought about Evie and put that on Ricard.
On Ricard, yeah. Literally, so my viewership for the Ricard and so I did a video for Ricard, a video for David, a video for Evie, and a video for Sydney. I think it's the only individual videos I did, and the Evie and Ricard viewership is like 100 views in the past 48 hours because everyone's looking up their names right now to try and figure out who they are, and all the comments on the videos are swapping from positive to negative for each of them. It's so
that's awesome.
All
right, so you guys want me to run down the group picks and compare them to where we were preseason?
Go from worst to best.
Worst 16th place, moving up 1 spot from the preseason is Jeannie. Moving down.
Wait, hold on. Moving. Because
she was in 17th, but we don't have a 17th place anymore. So by default, she moves up. If she continues to stay in the game, she's just going to continue moving up, even if she stays in last place. It's just how it works.
Yeah, just math, science, whatever.
Yeah. You guys understand. Moving down 9 spots in 15th place, we have Nasir. Massive drop off.
I'm sorry, Nasir.
Moving down 2 spots from preseason is Heather.
Okay.
Yeah.
Moving up 5 spots is Tiffany.
Yeah.
Moving down 5 spots is Brad.
Okay.
Moving down 10 spots guys, is Ricard, guys.
There you go.
moving up plus 3.
I didn't catch that.
Moving up plus 3 is Mr. Voce.
Yeah.
Nice. Love to see it.
We have a tie for 8th place between Sydney, who stays the same, and Xander, who moves up 2 spots. No thanks to Skylander.
I don't care.
Definitely thanks to
Skylander has like something personal against Xander.
No.
16th, Skylander. I put him 3rd,
Bro.
and you put him 16th. That's a 13 diff. What
is it?
are you
Hold on, let me do
thinking?
math. Yeah, it is a 13 difference.
That's crazy. Okay, good.
All right. We also have a tie for 6th place between Danny and JD. Danny moves 4 spots. JD moves down 2 spots.
Dang.
We have in 5th place Deshawn moving down 3 spots.
Okay.
In 4th place, Erica moving up 6 spots.
Yeah.
In 3rd place, Lyanna moving up 8 spots.
Yeah.
In 2nd place, Evie moving up a whopping 14.
Oh my god.
And in 1st place, moving up 4 spots is Chantel.
Okay, look. I can
do.
do this for you. If you want me to switch Xander and Jenny, I can do that because, like, I mean,
don't make me redo the math, please.
No.
You dug your grave. You will sit in it. Type.
No, I will go to the end. I don't care. Xander's 16th, bro. Like, intentional Matt scene.
You will eat your words when Xander wins this game.
Xander's not going to win the game.
Yeah, he's not. But at the same time, I like Xander as a player so much better than Nasir, Jeannie, Tiffany, Brad, Voce, Sydney, Ricard. Maybe not Deshawn. Maybe, I don't know, Erica. Yeah.
I honestly just feel like he got confessionals because he had to, because he got the extra vote. In my opinion.
But Danny didn't get a lot of confessionals, and he went to the island.
Exactly.
Well, he also didn't go to tribal council.
Yeah, yes, that's true. But
yeah, you're true. That's right. But yeah, I overall I'm confident in what I've seen from him, and so yeah.
I mean, I also I don't think he has like the worst chance of going home. I just don't think he has a shot to win, really.
I get that. But neither does, in my personal opinion, neither does Deshawn. I feel like Deshawn is your Jamal.
Really?
Made
no,
over.
Deshawn, excuse you. Deshawn was my winner pick going in.
Devious D-Rag.
I stand by him being in the top 3. So
his name on the his name on the show shouldn't be Deshawn. It should be Devious D-Rag. That's what should come up every single time.
The hashtag, excuse you.
That's what should come up every single time he gets a confessional. Devious D-Rag. The entire cast should have nicknames.
They would just run at a space on the bottom third. They wouldn't have space for Devious. Like,
next
Devious
time Sierra Thomas comes back, we need to have on the bottom third. It needs to be FFGC SDTA.
Yeah,
and fully spelled out, or else we will riot.
Yeah, I mean,
obviously. She's not coming back to the show, but
yeah.
Raise your hand if you want to see FFGCSDTA come back to the show.
Yeah, I mean, just for the confessional, like it has to happen.
There you go. All right, well, thank you if you're still watching this, you're crazy, and I love it. I think overall we've gotten so deep into this now. We probably thought about this way too much. But
yeah.
One quick prediction. It's power rankings and predictions. So I feel like we need to do one quick prediction.
Okay. You want to go first?
Okay.
Okay. My prediction for next episode is someone's going to find the Beware advantage, and what the Beware advantage is going to be is it's going to be safety without power.
Okay.
I think that I think that we will get a female Rob Goddess this season, which is kind of rare nowadays. Usually it's like your Rick Devens,
No, every single time a female gets voted out, it's, oh my god, Rob Goddess.
People were saying Sarah was a Rob Goddess. I kid you not.
I was like, bro, she was raw. I swear, every single I'm about to go. Every single time a female gets voted off a season in Survivor, Rob Goddess. Like
Wendy Joe, Robbed Goddess.
I know.
Okay,
right?
you know what? Here it is. I my bold prediction is that Ricard will get voted out pre-merge.
Let's go.
We'll see.
All right.
What's yours?
My prediction is that Xander, he's gonna go home. Definitely. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. My prediction is that David will find an idol or just some sort of advantage and use it.
Do you really think they have idols and the Beware advantage at every camp?
Yes.
Oh, wait. This is how I know that they like 100% like no, Dave's gonna find it. Remember in the thing we were like it's or at least I think I had said this.
It was a white person's hand.
White
but it could
male hands. There's
I don't know
only
about
Xander.
the male. Like it could be, but it also could be
I
Tiffany.
just don't like. No.
Xander already
It is
has
a
an
white male.
advantage. He can have his
Exactly.
advantage. Let David have his advantage.
So it's David, Xander, Brad, and who else is white?
Well, Brad was also running through the jungle in the post. Like,
Oh yeah. Could be.
So, but it's one of every tribe. So I mean,
it's either David or Brad at this point. I'm thinking
I would
David or
David. I just see David
true.
getting it. Also, Tiffany freaking almost got it too. Jesus Christ, just look harder, like
big tough.
Just find it, Lamau.
I think that's actually bad for like edit wise that they did show that. And now Dave's gonna find it, and he's gonna use it. He's gonna save Xander from getting voted because Xander was gonna get voted that 100%. Honestly, and then Evie goes and then she's gonna say how she hates all men when she gets voted out and smack her in the face.
She'll be like,
excuse me, Jeffrey, are you snuffing my torch? This is misogyny.
That's literally misogyny. What are you talking about?
Those are my torch. Oh my Tribe is actually offensive, Jeff. How could you say that?
Literally, tribal is offensive because like T is a letter in alphabet. It starts with A, and A is spells out the word alpha and alpha male, and so
Yeah, how'd you just come up with all that in here?
The patriarchy. So,
all right. So
I think
we've talked for an hour and a half. I think we need to wrap this up.
100%. That's what I was doing, but then Underdog wanted us to give some predictions. There we go. It's
power rankings and predictions.
Hey, of course. All right. So if you're still watching, we have videos, and these videos don't just stop all of a sudden. They're going to continue to go next week. So next week for Monday and Tuesday, I'm gonna make 2 videos previewing the next episode. Maybe I'll talk about who I think's games are already ruined, just already done. So, people who have no shot of winning, or maybe I'll just like break down Chantel's dominance of the entire episode. Who knows? But stay tuned for those. No video tomorrow, meaning Sunday, I believe. Gonna start taking Sundays off because you gotta pray to God. No, it's actually because I'm lazy and I just don't want to make videos on Sunday. So that's that. But again, go check out these guys' channels. I believe they come up as soon as you look them up on YouTube. Unlike mine a few months ago, where it came up as Spencer Bledsoe when you looked it up. But now I've gotten big enough to the point where it comes up when you look up Survivor Spencer. So I'm happy about that. And overall, guys, continue to suggest videos down in the comments. I'll do like 95% of them. And yeah, overall, what's your bold prediction for the season? Do you think there's going to be some crazy, surprise Edge of Extinction twist coming? Please, let's knock on wood that's never going to happen or never come back. And yeah, overall, guys, thank you so much for continuing to watch these videos. And if you guys continue to watch these videos, I will continue to make them. If that's it, I will talk to you guys